So the conversation with Larry Kavich started when he presented 3 hours and 15 minutes of a sermon that he is going to deliver here tonight. And both Wendy and I have worked extremely hard. I even had to go to a personal meeting with him during lunch to try to convince him to maybe reduce a little bit of the time, not to put a burden on the congregation. And so it is with great honor and great pleasure that I invite my friend Larry Kavich.
In my life, I've been very fortunate to have traveled through many transitions. My first was going from being a kid with no worries to being a teenager with many normal worries. I think it all started when I learned that Santa Claus was a hoax, a fictional character. From then on, I started to question almost everything. School was never a high priority for me, as I knew from age 9 that I was going to go work in the family business. I knew that even someday the company would be mine. After a less than stellar college experience, my next major transition was moving from being free of responsibilities to being that of a husband. When I was a sophomore in college, I met Andy Bookie, who became my mate for life, my friend for life, and my protector for life. We married when I was 20 and she was 19. That was 47 years ago. Being newlyweds, Andy feared that she was going to have a difficult time getting pregnant. Andy soon started to flush her birth control pills down the toilet, and as luck and a huge blessing would have it, we were parents 358 days, stomping on the glass to announce that we were now man and wife, or a very young man with a very young wife. The transition from newlyweds to parents seemed almost natural. Times were different then. As much as I would like to say things changed dramatically, they actually didn't. Andy took to being a mother like a duck takes to water. She made parenting a breeze for me. I never changed a diaper. I learned how a washing machine worked. I still don't. She did all of that for me and so much more. A couple of years later, Jeff entered our lives, and we continued to live a life that was made luxurious due to my new full-time job at family business. And having gone to the office with my father since I was a youngster, it seemed entirely logical and appropriate that I should enter the business with the title of assistant to the president. I sat in on most every meeting. I watched everything he did and learned everything that he could teach me. That was the education college couldn't possibly provide. Time passed. Jeff and Amy both grew up and went their own way. After Jeff's stint at college, he joined me in the family business, just like I joined my father in our business. Looking back, Jeff watched and listened and learned just as I did. After 5 years, Amy and Ted returned to Omaha from their respective successful careers on the West Coast. Amy came to work at a time when her expertise of process and procedures became very valuable. We were in the transition of changing computer systems, and Amy had what Jeff and I both lacked, that being organization. So, Laser, my father, me, my son Jeff, my daughter Amy, we, at the same time, all drew wages from the company. At any given moment during the day, the 3 of us might be gathered around the proverbial water cooler, talking about where we were having dinner. As time went on, 2 things became very apparent to me. One, the value of seeing my children and my father on a daily basis, each engaged in the common goal of attempting to be successful. Second was the opportunity to have my father live to see that his son and his grandkids could live together, work together, love together. I've been told that transitions of long-held family businesses, more often than not, don't go as smoothly as ours. Once again, our lessons shine true. As the transition of responsibilities continued to get better and better, each step up the ladder had me going from being the boss's son, which I lived with for many, many years, to actually being the boss. People died. Times changed. The business changed. The world changed. And time passed. As Amy and Jeff continued to gain traction, it became apparent to me that my days were numbered in the work world. My input was redundant, as both kids observed and picked up every twitch, every tick that I could possibly teach them. They knew what I was thinking before I knew what I was thinking. In meetings with others, we communicated strictly by eye contact. So, once again, I was transitioning from being their business partner to being a better father, a better grandfather. Our vacation started to turn into long-term sabbaticals. We started spending large blocks of time in Arizona, where we ultimately bought the perfect place for us to retire. By that time, my presence at the office was confusing, as I had empowered Jeff and Amy to run the show, but yet my presence fragmented their authority. It became apparent that I needed to physically vacate myself from the company. I retired. I left. I walked away and never looked back. The transition from being somewhat engaged in work to being free as a bird was most challenging. I was on my own to create a routine and a sense of purpose while living 1,404 miles from my roots and from my family. I was diagnosed 32 years ago with a rare immune system disorder. I was told that my kidneys were what was going to get me. I never thought much about that, as my loving wife would never allow me to go to that scary place where my life could end with kidney failure. 2 years ago, my stats from my blood work showed that my kidney disease was gaining speed, and I needed to address this dark cloud before it started to rain. My numbers continued to slip, and we needed a plan. A year and a half ago, a very hard transition happened when I went from having nothing to do on any given day to a printed schedule of doctor's appointments, tests, infusions, shots, x-rays, scans, you name it. I had to be at Mayo at 7 in the morning to get it done. The course was set, and the water got deeper and colder. I needed to do something. It proved to be I needed to do something, sorry. After a horrific visit to a dialysis center near our home, I saw what awaited me with failed kidneys. It proved to be my worst nightmare come true. After our visit, Andy took it upon herself to call Amy and Jeff and advise them that Dad was on the ropes. As the story goes, Amy and Jeff stood in front of my now vacant office and flipped a coin to see who would be the lucky or unlucky one to give up their kidney to save my life. After Amy checked to make sure that the coin was indeed a two-sided coin, the coin was flipped and Amy ended up giving me the gift of life. But Jeff stood ready just in case. Mayo would only test one candidate at a time, so that necessitated the coin flip. I went from being without a plan to being a man rich with potential donors. To make a long story short, the transplant went picture perfect. Amy was released from the hospital the day after our surgery, and Andy and I were eating at our favorite restaurant 10 days later. Never a hiccup, never a glitch. We became poster people of how things can go right in the face of what can go wrong. The takeaway from all of this boils down to a few key things. The value of my family, the value of love, respect, open communication, cooperation, and flexibility. Facing the challenges of life, fully expecting that things will go well, things will work out, staying positive, and never doubting yourself, and never doubting the value of faith. Has there been a transition in my life that I would change? No, not one. No regrets. Never a bad move. Never a do-over. My greatest achievements are the ones I'm most proud of, are all family-based. Seeing both children happy, successful, married to perfect spouses, having 4 wonderful grandchildren that make us proud every day, and having the good fortune and good luck of passing a multi-generational family business on to my son, my daughter, brother, and sister, and knowing that they both love and respect each other. Life for Andy and me has been a honeymoon. I love her, and she loves me. We love our kids, their spouses, our grandkids, and they love us. What more could you want to pray for? Before I say Shabbat Shalom, and I trimmed it down from 3 hours to 9, I'm not even at 8 minutes. Before I say Shabbat Shalom, I want to say that for those of you who know of somebody who's in need of a kidney or a live organ of some sort, or if you are inclined to give a gift, that's a heck of a gift to give. And to have Amy walk down the hallway that afternoon after she had given me her kidney, that's pretty remarkable. She was out of the hospital the next day. And as I said earlier, we were back living our normal life. And so with that, I say thank you. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.